G'day folks, Ziggity here with a bit of Starfield. Today, I wanted to walk you through some of the game's freeform exploration. I'm taking a look here at Oborum Prime, which looks to have life on it and somewhat Earth-like conditions, though it does have quite low gravity. I'm okay with that though, low gravity is quite fun. Let's pull up into orbit and give it a quick scan. There is another ship in orbit when we pull up, but we both seem pretty happy to leave each other alone. From orbit you can perform a preliminary scan which shows some basic information and resource distributions, though it doesn't always show very rare resources. You'll have to discover those on the actual planet itself. If you really like exploration, there are some skills that you can get that can improve how much information you get from orbital scanning. It looks like Oborum has two unique features or traits, which we'll have to discover down on the surface, and it has a couple of okay resources. But most interesting is that it has a ton of plant and animal life. It also seems to have some interesting variety in biomes. To do a full survey and discover all the different features of a planet or moon, you may well have to hop around to different landing sites in different biomes, but we'll just drop down in a random place today.
Landing gear. Check. Thrusters. Check. Excite. Clear.
So anywhere that you land on a planet's surface, the game will procedurally generate a huge map around your landing site, and there will basically always be some interesting things within walking distance. It makes even barren rocks feel like they have something going on, though some planets are definitely more interesting than others. It actually turns out that I had previously taken a survey bounty to find a unique planet trait here on this planet, and I'd just forgotten about it, so we might as well work on that while we're here. When I first land and disembark, I like to use the hand scanner to get a bit more info on points of interest nearby, to get an idea of where I want to head first. You can look over a point of interest marker and press the E key, and that reveals what type of point of interest it's going to be. And there's all sorts of different ones: life signs, natural formations, human structures, mines, caves, and anomalies. We can already see that this planet is teeming with life, with some weird jellyfish things in the air and some insectoids grazing nearby. What better way to get familiar with the locals than to hunt them? When it comes to getting the scanning information, you can either scan them or hunt them, both actually works. Minerals and other raw resources only require one scan, but animals and plants can take quite a few scans to get all of the information together. This game always seems to be full of surprises, and it seems that these horn-face insect creatures have some sort of strange ritual going on here. I don't know if it's like a mating dance or some sort of warning, but it seems that some other insectoids nearby are getting kind of riled up and getting into a fight with them. This turns out to be a prime opportunity to get a bunch of scans all at once and maybe sneak in and loot some rare resources. It turns out that while they are herbivores, they do seem to be a bit territorial, or I don't know, maybe I was messing with some of the beetles' food and they got a bit fancy about it. Scanning fauna tells you information on behavior, resources that can be harvested from them, and even unique traits like that the horn faces reflect melee damage. So up the hill I come upon what looks like a scientific base. At this point I can't actually know if it's abandoned, full of friendly scientists who might need some help, or if it's full of pirates or other nasties, so it's always a good idea to just scout a little bit first. It ends up looking like pirates have moved in, so it's time to take out one of the lookouts and move around the edge to find a good vantage point. I have a few points in stealth on this character, so they lose track of me after a little while, and I can get the jump on another one of them from this hab roof up here. Now that my element of surprise has been consumed, it's time to take some combat stims and go for the messier approach. Heart Plus, that drug that I took there, gives more health and damage resistance. Great for when you want to get in close.
Wanna try that on me? Huh?
This shotgun actually has doubled melee damage and does a pretty good job of staggering, which combos nice with a close range weapon like this. There's still a few pirates camped out on some high ground nearby peppering shots at me, but I want to clear out this hab block first before I move on, so I use the airlock and get inside and cook a grenade to stun the pirate that's lurking within. Grenades are really useful in this game for staggering enemies and getting them out of cover. Afterwards, while I'm looting, one of the elite pirates gets a little bit creative and gets the jump on me from the airlock. Elite enemies like this one can have multiple armor bars and they can end up being quite tough, especially when you're boxed in against them like this. However, an airlock is a pretty bad place to stand when your enemy has grenades. Elite enemies always drop a rare item at least, and are a good source of legendaries as well. There wasn't much actual loot to be had in this hab, so I head back outside and catch one of the pirates off guard. My little suppressed rifle here doesn't do a ton of damage, so I'm not really able to take them out quickly enough, and they end up charging me. So I switch to a legendary pistol that I have that has a chance to fire Tesla rounds that can stun and slow enemies. Pretty good in this situation. With the outside seemingly clear, I have a bit of a rummage through some of the other exterior locations, finding a few supplies and resources, and then I head inside the other hab, catching a pirate who was, I guess, playing computer games or something and had their headphones on and didn't realize they were being raided, so I get them off guard. There's a few more supplies in here to scoop up, and then it's over to the main building. Locations like this can have lots of different exterior areas to them: tents, habs, drilling platforms, construction sites, and all sorts of little tidbits you can explore in a pretty large area sometimes too. So it can be quite worth exploring outside. It's not just all like an entrance to a cave or something. So in the main building now, there's a bit of a kill box choke point I have to get through. This magnet accelerated silenced pistol is very cool, but ammo has been a bit rare for it. I like to use it for situations like this to get the jump on an enemy though. To break through this choke point though, I switched to a grenade launcher that I picked up recently, which is super satisfying. I love this thing. While I'm looting the bodies, one more guy makes his way over, and enemies will actually often come from other parts of the building to investigate louder engagements like this. It's interesting. So this room over here is protected by an advanced lock, but I have a few skill points in security, so it's time to do some digi-picking. Digi-picking is a puzzle where you have to find which key goes in which holes, and there's sometimes incorrect choices or multiple correct ones. I don't mind it overall, it's better than Fallout 4's hacking at least. Locked rooms like this are generally bonuses, ways to get more loot from a location, but not necessary to conquer it. Sometimes though, they can provide a special advantage or a shortcut or something like that. So when I'm rummaging like this, I'm looking for high credit value, low weight items, or of course useful things that I can actually use. I actually end up finding a rare classic book that's worth a lot here that I can sell to a book collector I know. There's also a safe nearby with some credits inside and a few cred sticks scattered around. Learning to spot useful items scattered or hidden amongst the junk is a skill in this game. I'm also actually putting up a looting guide for launch to help you all out with it, as it's a bit overwhelming at first sorting loot in this game. It's very fun when you know what you're doing, just rummaging through everything. So heading upstairs, I find another rare book in the room, but not much else, so it's time to move on. Interestingly though, someone else has found me and takes a very optimistic potshot from stealth. It's interesting how the enemies feel a bit less static than in previous Bethesda games. They seem to move around a lot more. Turns out to be an elite enemy, and I decided to test out a new laser pistol I found that has a chance to ignite. It's not bad, and a few grenades help seal the deal.
Not done yet.
I ended up getting a new legendary helmet off this enemy, and it's kind of an excellent hunting helmet. Super interesting, but not useful currently. So there's another storage room, and you'll notice I'm skipping some component resources, like these square things that are magnets. It's just because these sorts of components are pretty heavy, and I already have a bunch of them on my ship. I'm far better off grabbing guns for credits and resources I actually need. So I engaged the final group of enemies here from stealth, and it looks like they're trying to get into a locked room. After the stealthing comes the opposite of stealthing, of course. There's another nasty elite this time who ends up camping the doorway, so I chip away at them for a bit, and then I push in to finish them off with a shotty. After quickly searching that room, I find another locked storage which has a weapon case with a very expensive shotgun that I'll take to sell. Outside there's another pistol that's quite valuable too, and this overall is proving to be a pretty good run for credits at the very least. After that, it's time to figure out what the pirates were trying to break into. And hilariously, it actually seems they accidentally locked their leader inside. The lock is too hard for me. Well, it was, except I just leveled up, so I take the next point in security and crack my first master lock. It looks like that pirate didn't expect me to be able to get in after their crew couldn't do so. I should have gone for a stealth melee attack for some huge damage, but I was caught off guard. I wasn't expecting them to not be expecting me. So a firefight breaks out, and I have the high ground, so we all know that it's over for the Corsair. This enemy actually turns out to be super tough, and not wanting to use all of my ammo, I move in, disable them, and whip out my katana I picked up from my gang buddies in Neon City. Swords versus fists is pretty one-sided in the end. There actually wasn't much in that room that they were locked in, but it was pretty funny that they locked their boss in and were trying to get them out. A nice bit of environmental storytelling there, kind of. After that, I begin the search for the location reward crate. Each zone that has enemies inside of it has some sort of big rewards crate that you can find at the end, though the definition of what is the end is kind of freeform because the zones aren't all quite so linear. I end up finding it in one of the adjoining rooms, and you can see that they tend to have a lot of loot in them, even though this one's kind of on the lighter side. That said, this one did have an excellent shotgun upgrade for me. This thing is quite meaty, so I replaced my old one with it. Now, I recalled that there was one more room upstairs, so I scoped that out before leaving. Funnily enough, it actually had a computer that could unlock the room from earlier, so both me and the pirates kind of look like idiots. The only other thing is a very, interesting hat. That one will be going in my private collection. So I have one last little scrounge and head outside, inventory burgeoning with fresh loot. As long as you're not overburdened, you can fast travel back to your ship from anywhere, even inside of a dungeon, you don't have to walk out the entrance. And as long as you're within 250 meters of your ship, you can stash loot in the cargo hold easily to make space for future adventuring. So I drop off my loot and head back out. After all, I still need to discover the planet's unique traits, which I suspect I can from some nearby locations I tagged when I landed. Getting a bit of cardio in, I headed up that hill, and I saw what I was looking for. A very strange formation of sac, egg, pustule things. It seems that this planet has a bit of an issue with disease, and that was what my earlier bounty was to research. Some of these locations will have some sort of special hidden resources or loot or a person in trouble or some rare fauna nearby or something like that. Not always though, and this time I'm just happy to complete my bounty and earn 4,500 credits for a scan. Not bad. I hunt a couple nearby bugs for some XP and loot, and then head over to the Anomaly that I tagged earlier, fossicking some gold along the way, of course. So I get a pretty nice view from the top of this hill, and I see that there's actually more anomalies nearby. But one thing at a time, it's pretty easy to get distracted in this game. The Anomaly looks to be some kind of tower. I meet a new local on the way, a cute little beetle, and after some unnecessary beetle murder, I clear out some more hostile bugs and take a look at the tower. It looks like it's a very cool looking gravitational anomaly with a bunch of rare and valuable resources around the base. A very nice find. What that's all about, I'll leave you folks to discover when you play for yourselves. And that is where I'll leave it today. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. I'm Ziggy D, and thanks for watching.